Marvelous.
Yeah, the magic of the technology.
Okay, so let's share the screen. So is it okay? Do you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I apologize for the delay, but you know, even after 1 year of virtual conference, I'm still not used to. So this is an overview of the Evolve project. We are at year 2 over 3 years. So I'm Jean-Thomas Coiva from DDN, but I'm the project coordinator for Evolve. So Evolve, as the other project in this workshop, is the ICT 11. So we are a 19 partner and we have a 14 million budget overall. In terms of organization between the partner, so there is 3 baskets, if I can mention this way. Dissemination, communication, and coordination is handled by DDN and LOBA. And then we have the use case or pilot application provider. So they are developing applications. So there is, I will say, scientific or industrial content in the applications themselves. So part of the output of the project is the result that we're going to get out of this application. And their involvement is basically twofold in the sense that they are also validating the infrastructure, the platform that we are building. When I say we, this is the partner at the bottom, the technology provider, where you can find some pretty well-known names such as IBM and Bull. And there is our Atos Bull. So there is DDN also for HPC, and we have academic like ICCS or Force, or a more agile partner like Memoscale, ONAP, and Sunlight, which are more like a startup. So overall, we have these 2 important layers, infrastructure, and at the top of it, people are using it and delivering their own result. So the platform was really developed, I will say, with a focus on the end user. So for us, some key performance indicators are related to the use cases. So we want to deliver good performance, so taking HPC. So we are basically bringing a HPC infrastructure, fast network, fast storage, fast processor. But we have to acknowledge that HPC is sometimes not the perfect tool for all problems, and there is a big data which is extremely efficient about building complex workflow. So while in HPC it's quite difficult to do code coupling, for example, if you want to connect an ocean model with the atmospheric one, it's a lot of work. But with big data, these communities are really able to build very complex pipeline and articulate application on workflow at large scale, and they run everything on commodity hardware. So here the interaction is quite obvious. We want to keep the good things from their software stack, but somehow streamline it and remove some of the software which is here to provide the redundancy and fault tolerance, because we are inserting underneath HPC hardware. And the third pillar, I should say, is from cloud. So for those who have been in the community since a few years, we have really observed the boom of cloud, and we have to acknowledge that they were able to answer to some lingering questions that were in the community before. It's extremely easy to deploy an application in cloud. You can virtualize an environment and deploy in a snap, while for previously on HPC and other kind of infrastructure, it was much more difficult. So cloud is really a productivity tool, which is something that we have a lot of lessons to learn from. In terms of use cases, so as in the other project, we try to bring in some new application. Here, in our case, we have 3 partners who are working on satellite images. So this data, the images are coming from the European Copernicus satellite constellation. And exploiting this image, we can do several processes. So there is Sibeltech, and they try to deliver agriculture optimization. So looking at the satellite images, they want to inform the agriculture about the status of their crop. So if there is anything to do in terms of providing intrant or just monitoring if the crop is growing correctly. Thales Alenia Space, they are doing change detection. So here they involve AI to detect if there is any change on the ground in respect of picture taking from the same area at different times. So basically it's a way to observe, for instance, the expansion of suburban area, or even there is some link with agriculture. One of their use case, for instance, is to evaluate the damage which has been caused by a frost episode in the vineyard in France. And you know, in France, wine is very important. And the third use case, Space Hélas, I think it's even more important actually. It's security and sovereignty application. So they want to be able to detect and to track non-cooperative vessels in the Mediterranean, which mean boats which are somehow cheating with their location to the control authority. So they want to be able to detect this and to track their path. We have also several use cases for mobility. So mobility, it's really in the broad sense of the word. So there is personal vehicle. So AVL, it's a partner in Austria, and they are developing a model for predictive maintenance. So they probe the engine and they observe all the variation. And if the engine start to misbehave in respect of its expected behavior, then it can hint that we may have an issue in a nearby future. So it brings us to the second partner, Kula, who is using AI in order to optimize the maintenance. So basically using a very large database and some AI for a given failure in a car, they can provide hint about the best way to maintain and to repair it. And there is two other mobility providers. So BMW, they are developing a ride-hailing algorithm. So it's kind of, if you want, kind of similar to Uber. So there is a set of people asking for a ride, and there is a set of available car, and then we want to compute the most efficient way for the car to provide services to the user. It's not a Uber app, it's more like a science. So they are really tackling the core of the algorithmic problem, and they want to run it and accelerate it on the platform. On the last partner, it's actually two partners. It's a couple from Italy, TMA and Memex. So TMA is operating a fleet of bus, so it's public transportation in Tuscany. On Memex, they are developing software in order to optimize the fleet management and to track the bus location and to reshuffle the bus traffic in case of hazard. So now if we go to the infrastructure itself, the platform, so Evolve is about heterogeneity. So I think you already touched a lot of points with Lexis. So here, what is, I will say, a traditional cluster up to maybe 2 years ago? A cluster used to be completely homogeneous. So you have a C or very large array of processing units. They are all similar. They are interconnected with a very fast network, and they share the common resource, which is like the storage. So in terms of resource allocation, it means that if we want to deploy an application in this cluster, we have to take care about the number of processing units and somehow the capacity of the storage that we want to allocate to the application. And that's kind of it. We can do some kind of optimization about, you know, the topology, trying to allocate a nearby processor in order to accelerate the processing, but there is not that much complexity here. And in terms of monitoring, system monitoring, there is 3 main resources to monitor: the CPU load, the network traffic, and the storage activity. Now, if we go for heterogeneous platform, as you did for Lexis, things start to become a bit more complicated. Instead of having a symmetric set of processing units, now you see that these yellow boxes are very different. Some of them are accelerated, either with GPU. So this is the green part at the top of the picture, or with FPGA. So this is the blue part at the bottom. And even within the processing unit, Some of them has been not accelerated, but enhanced in the sense that we have insert additional storage directly within the node. So there is fast NVMe in a subset of the node available on the system. So this NVMe, they allow to do read and write without going through the network. So it's really local data. They are not shared, but there is no network overhead to access to this data. And if we want to go through the network and access to the storage is tiered. So there is a first tier, which is a burst buffer that as DDN we are providing. We have, I will say, a modified or extended version for the project. And beyond the burst buffer, then we can go to the capacity tiers, which is a parallel file system with on drive. So now the two questions, the two problems that we had in terms resource allocation, it's becoming more complicated because we have a different set of processing units. So we need a way to evaluate which one is the most the best match for a given application. So we need to have some characterization of the application and some characterization of the processing unit in order to do this matching algorithm. And it's the same thing for the storage. So it's not only about the size of the data that we want to accommodate, but are we going to host the data locally within the node on the NVMe, so it's fast access, or is it really very large on regular access, so it can fit in the parallel file system. So the resource allocation problem is becoming a bit more complex. And similarly, or should I say maybe consequently, the monitoring of the system itself also is more complicated because we have no different set of metrics since we have different components. And furthermore, one important point is the data locality. So even if I'm allocating the application on the best node, maybe I have also to take care about the data placement if I want to have the best performance. So overall, we are not doing this for the beauty of the art. There is some compensation for the people who are porting their application. So Space CLS, the maritime surveillance application I was mentioning previously, starting from day one to 2 years later, they were able to accelerate their application by more than 100 by porting the app and taking advantage of the GPU and the parallelism. And there is also, it's not only pure speed up, there is also some kind of qualitative enhancements. So for example, the visualization module here that you can see on the snapshot is directly inserted within the software stack. I will not detail too much the visualization part in this talk, but we have a microservice dedicated to data visualization. On the right part of the slide, there is a picture of the system, which is hosted like Lexis in a Bull facility in France. So it means that since we have heterogeneous resources, we also have to tackle the programming model. So it's more complex to program an application when we have to deal with multiple kind of processing units. So it means that if we want to have distributed large-scale application, we need to have MPI, so distributed memory parallelism. Within a single node, we can leverage a multi-core aspect using OpenMP, shared parallelism. And we also have to harness the FPGA. And I've mentioned Dask on this slide because this is something which is, at least for me, quite interesting. We start with very a low-level MPI, and now there is this Python library, which is somehow hiding the complexity of MPI and allowing a Python developer to have access to parallel programming, distributed programming. So data management. So as I was mentioning earlier, there is quite some work which has been done in Evolve related to data management. So in terms of infrastructure, there is this H3 service, which is developed by Force. And this is a way that we are using the local NVMe within the node. So for the node which has been extended with NVMe, they can use this service to have a local key value store. So with very good performance, and we can also move the data out of the local node automatically thanks to this service. And there is also the burst buffer, so it's disaggregated in the case of Evolve, which means that all the NVMe has been taken in a specific set of appliances. There is more than 100 of them. And this layer of NVMe is basically transparently moving data back and forth with the parallel file system. So it's transparent for the end user. If the burst buffer is filling up, then data are moved to Lustre, and at the opposite, if there is a lot of demand for a particular data set, the data are prefetched from Lustre, from the parallel file system to the burst buffer. So it's kind of transparent for the end user. So the data management is not only a question of infrastructure. So there is also a dataset lifecycle framework developed by IBM. So the idea is that you can attach your dataset to a container, and when you move the container, the dataset will automatically be relocated to the right place. And one of the nice results in Evolve is that this software has been pushed open source by IBM, so we are quite proud of it. And obviously, we need something to hide the complexity, to shield the end user from all the low-level details of the platform. And there is a lot of work in Evolve which has been done to hide this, to encode a workflow, and to provide a notebook. So Christos, in the technical talk for Evolve, will detail this much more than me. And there is this data visualization module that I was mentioning as well, which is based on WebLizard Technologies, a startup in Australia. And it's quite cool, actually. So in terms of monitoring, so we did a lot of effort to integrate some of our proprietary tools, for instance, on the software part, on the storage part. We integrate the proprietary tools within the Prometheus framework. So it's an open source project which has quite a momentum at the moment. So by providing connector, now we can integrate everything in a single interface, and it's reusing a lot of this open source project. So it's quite good in terms of software maintenance for us. So what do we get from this? I would say that when we start the project, if we look at the big data on HPC software stack, so it's not my slide, I stole it from BDEC. There is a big data one on the left, on the HPC one on the right, and you see that they are kind of independent silo. They all rely on Linux, but these two communities have built their software stack kind of independently, one from the other. And what we are trying to do in Evolve is to integrate as much as possible and to provide bridges in order to have a single software stack which is able to provide the big data services, but directly connected to the HPC infrastructure without going through all this Hadoop stack, such as HDFS, something like that. So when we start the project, we have identified some some challenges for the community. So the first one is that HPC is powerful, but sometimes people are a bit reluctant to use it because the user experience is not very good. All right, it's complicated to program. The tools are a bit archaic. And also, furthermore, if you have a complicated pipeline, maybe you do not need to use HPC for everything. There is some stages which are very simple, and you need to reshuffle your data or things like that. And it could be 3 lines of Python, but if you want to do this in Fortran, it's going to be a bit more messy. So here the idea is that maybe for this component which are more oriented toward user service and not that much for performance, we should move to something more user-friendly, and this is bringing the big data in the picture, actually. So big data, very nice. The community, the software stack is assuming that they are running on commodity hardware, so they are providing a lot of software layer to prevent and tolerate failure of the hardware. They are not taking into account, I would say, some of the performance that the hardware, non-commodity but specialized hardware can provide. I'm thinking specifically about the network. So when you are using a fast InfiniBand network, your data are much more close to the processing unit than when you are using a very slow Ethernet. So it means that maybe there is less need to cache within the memory of the node, for instance. So you can alleviate the memory footprint because the data is quite close in terms of latency thanks to this fast network. So yes, this is the articulation really between HPC and big data. So in terms of results, so SpaceLS is clearly our champion here with a speed up of more than 100, but the other application, they have not been fully ported yet to the system, I have to say. But on the component which has been ported, we have been enjoying nice speed up. So very nice speed up due to the better storage management, due to the increased level of parallelism, and also, and more importantly, specifically for our user friendliness, the way that the pipeline are encoded are now, it's more convenient, it's more compact, so it's a bit difficult to estimate the gain. So we choose this idea of number of line of code, but basically we can orchestrate a workflow with a small YAML file, while before it was much more cumbersome to articulate. And also from an infrastructure standpoint, so heterogeneity, so there is a shared agreement in the community that, okay, Moore's law is basically reaching hitting a wall, and we need to provide accelerator. So general purpose CPU are not going to keep the pace. But the question is that how do we inject heterogeneity within the cluster? Do we have CPU which are all accelerated, so there is small accelerator on all CPU, and we end up with a homogeneous, heterogeneous processing unit? Or do we have an independent cluster, like the modular architecture in Jülich, for instance, in Germany? And what we have in Evolve is that we have heterogeneity at the node level. So the cluster is heterogeneous by node, so some nodes are accelerated, not the other. And in terms of resource management and orchestration, we think it's quite a good approach. So this is maybe the way to pursue for future iteration of the project, or even in terms of architecture in general. We still have some open challenges. So I was very interested by the presentation of Lexis. For instance, Evolve is very focused on on-premise. So we are running everything within this data center of Atos, but we have no interaction with the open world. So nowadays, we are not only required to be able to connect to the cloud, but even to have a multi-cloud policies to be able to access data which are maybe dispatched on several clouds. So this is something which I think is still missing to the project. It was not in the scope of the proposal, of course, but I think now that we have a bit of feedback 2 years later, this is really the next frontier, specifically if we put the edge also. So how could we integrate a heterogeneous platform within a multi-cloud and edge environment? In terms of workflow, I think we still have some progress to make. So to define the data placement, the optimal data placement. So I think there is some lesson to take from other communities. So I'm thinking specifically about the weather community. And also debugging a workflow is quite complicated. So if the result is not coming fast enough, you have to do some kind of reverse engineering to identify the slow component and then understand why is it slow. Is it because the data was not in the right place? Is it because the code is not fast enough? So there is a lot of things here which remain to be done. And also related to open source. So definitively, I'm now 100% convinced that open source is a way to go if we want to maintain the technology which has been developed within a European project after the life of the project. So after the 3 years of the project, if we want to avoid that all the technology is basically put on shelf and take dust, then we have to make it live in an open source project. And an open source project is more than just, putting everything on a Git repository, but it's more pushing the key technological element in independent project and pushing this upstream. So this is what we have tried to, that we're trying to do actually, so to push code upstream, for example, in Zeppelin. We have pushed some patches also in MPI to be sure that there is some kind of perennity of the investment here. So if I can try to summarize the project in one slide, I would say that from an infrastructure standpoint, we have built an heterogeneous system, which is probably not optimal, but it works quite well. And we have been able to attract a POC, and it has led to a lot of innovation. So we have submitted something like 15 innovation opportunities to the reviewer, to the project reviewer. And in terms of software, if we look at these two different software stacks, actually building connection is not that much complicated. There is not rocket science to be involved. It's work for sure, but I think it's kind of a reachable goal to have a fast big data software stack running on the top of HPC hardware. And still about software, clearly we've seen a huge expectation from the end user, from the application end user about container and notebook. So the traditional SSH and batch, maybe this is no longer the way to go, and we have to start to write YAML code. That's my take for today. So if you have any question, otherwise there is lunch.
Yeah, thank you, Jean-Thomas, for a very interesting presentation from Evolve project.